Grocery prices are through the roof right now, and I'm even having people tell me that the shelves at their local stores are empty or that they're being limited in how much they can purchase. Honestly, I haven't seen much of this myself yet, partly because as homesteaders, we have a cellar and freezers that are packed full of food. However, I know that these prices are going to even affect me as I go to purchase my bulk food here in the coming months. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 homesteading skills that can save you money on groceries today, and you don't even have to be a homesteader or have land. I'm hoping that today's video will help you no matter what your lifestyle looks like to help you get food on your table for less. If you're new here, I'm Stacy, blogger over the FromScratchFarmhouse.com. A few years ago, our family moved across the country to live our homesteading dream.
We made it!
It is our goal here to grow and raise as much of our food as possible and to live a more simple, purposefully old-fashioned life. If that sort of thing interests you, make sure to hit subscribe so that you can watch more of our journey here and all that we have learned. All right, let's get started. Homesteading skill number 1 that can save you money on groceries is foraging. Now, we are fortunate enough to have land to forage on now, but even back when we didn't, we loved to go up into the hills and pick berries. Now, this was totally legal and free where we lived, but make sure to check the laws of your local area. Also, there's a good chance that you have a family member or a friend or even a neighbor with land that would let you come forage, or maybe even just pick a few apples from their apple tree. Asking around is the best way to find free foraged food. If you're completely new to the idea of foraging, try Googling what to forage in your location, and then you will probably come across some YouTube videos or some books that are specific to your region. Now, we live in northern Wisconsin, so the snow has finally just melted off the ground, but even here we already have ramps and asparagus and dandelions and greens that are almost ready for harvest. Ramps were new to me when we moved to Wisconsin, but we have enjoyed learning how to use them fresh alongside eggs, to make ramp butter, and dried to make our own seasoning. They have a taste that is a mix between an onion and garlic. This year we plan to try making pesto as well. Homesteading skill number 2 that can save you money on groceries is learning to bake your own bread. It is amazing how big of a difference there is between the cost of purchasing the ingredients to bake a loaf of bread and buying a pre-made loaf of bread from your local store. Just by learning this one skill, you are going to save a ton. Now, before you tell me you don't have the time or the ability to bake your own bread, trust me, I'm going to give you a foolproof recipe, and you can make a bunch at one time to be put in your freezer so that you have fresh bread for a long time. So even if you work outside of the home, this is a very practical way that you could save money on your groceries. Okay, here's how to make bread that is light and fluffy and perfect for sandwiches with very little effort. I'm going to use my stand mixer, but if you don't have one, just add the ingredients in the same order to a large bowl. To the mixer with your dough hook on, add 1 1/3 cup water, 1/3 cup olive oil, 2 teaspoons salt, 4 cups bread flour, 2 tablespoons and 2 teaspoons sugar, and 3 teaspoons instant dry yeast. Turn the mixer on low and let mix until well combined. Then kick up the speed just a notch or two and let it knead for 5 minutes. If you are doing this without the mixer, blend well with a wooden spoon, dump onto a floured surface, and then knead by hand for 5 minutes. Form the dough into a ball and place it in a greased bowl. Cover with a light towel and put in a warm place. If your house is cold, try putting it in your oven with the light on. Just don't forget it's in there. Let the dough rise until doubled. This took about an hour for me. Then punch it down and place the dough into 2 well-greased loaf pans or in a large bread pan. I will link my favorite bread pan shown here below. If you're using this bread pan, do not grease it. Place a lightweight towel over the pan and let it sit until doubled in size again, which will vary depending on how warm your kitchen is, but mine took about an hour. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees, and then bake your bread for about 30 to 35 minutes, or until the internal temperature is 190 degrees Fahrenheit and the top is golden brown. Remove the bread from the oven and immediately remove it from the pan to let cool on a cooling rack. Then take a stick of butter and generously rub the top of the loaf. I know you're going to want to dive right in, but letting it cool before cutting it open will result in the best texture. Enjoy. Now, there's a lot of talk out there recently about sourdough bread and all of its benefits, and I absolutely love sourdough bread, but if you're completely new to baking, I do recommend that you start with regular bread using yeast bought from the store, and then once you get the hang of that, then take that next step to do sourdough because it's a little bit more complicated. Then once you get the hang of this, if you're ready to try your hand at sourdough, I do have 2 basic videos that show you how to make your own sourdough starter and how to make a wonderful loaf of sandwich-worthy bread, and I will link those in the description. Homesteading skill number 3 that can save you money on groceries is preserving fruits and veggies while they're in season. Fruits and veggies are pretty easy to find in season from your local farmer or farmers markets, foraged locally, or even from your local store or co-op. Preserving fruits and veggies in season is going to save you a ton because you're not paying someone else to preserve those foods for you, and you're not buying them out of season and then shipping them from far away. As I'm filming this here today, strawberries, rhubarb, asparagus, and ramps are some things that are almost in season here, and I know in many areas of the country they already are. So I plan to pickle and can some asparagus, dry some ramps, dry, freeze, and can some strawberries into things like strawberry jam. And if this all sounds very intimidating to you, let me assure you that freezing is a great place to start. Freezing fruits and veggies is a very easy thing to do, and it's a great way to save money. Just turn to Google or to YouTube and look up the exact fruit or veggie that you want to preserve. It's a very easy process, and you'll have a freezer full of food in no time. Then once you get the hang of that and want to move on to more advanced projects, pickling and making jam are very easy as well. Homesteading skill number 4 that can save you money on groceries is buying in bulk from farmers or co-ops. And I'm going to throw in bartering into this discussion as well. When buying in bulk, you're able to get the best price because it saves on packaging and selling expenses for the seller. And I really recommend that you look beyond places like Sam's Club or Costco, especially since lately it sounds like they've been limiting how much you can purchase. Our favorite place to buy in bulk is called Azure Standard, and I will leave a link below telling you exactly how this process works. But you could also look into local buying clubs as well. Buying in bulk directly from your local farmer is also a great way to go because it cuts out the middleman, and it means that the farmer is getting a higher profit and you are getting higher savings. There is a website that I've turned to many times over the years called localharvest.org, and this is a website where you can just plug in your location and it will tell you all the local farms and local farmers markets. A little tip, farmers are more likely to give you the best deal on a bulk buy at the end of a crop season. You might not get the freshest fruit or the firmest berries this way, but it might not matter if you're doing something like making jam. This is a great way to save money, and it's beneficial for the farmer as well. And alongside of this discussion, I want to mention bartering. Bartering is something that used to be done a ton in days past, and nowadays we barely think of it. But this can be a great arrangement to get practically free food and help out your neighbor or local farm. So an example of this might be going to the local berry farm and offering your services as a website designer. You could design them a beautiful website to better help them sell their produce, and you get a year's worth of berries, or whatever arrangement you come up with. You can also barter with your time. Sometimes local farms will allow you to come volunteer in their fields or to help wash produce or package produce, and then send you home with free food for your efforts. Just be sure that if this gets more complicated, then here's a dozen eggs in exchange for a basket of green beans, or it requires an ongoing relationship, that you get it in writing. And finally, homesteading skill number 5 that can save you money on groceries is to grow your own greens and herbs. Now, obviously growing all of your own food would be the ultimate way to save money on groceries, but this can sound like a very overwhelming goal, even to someone who's been on this homesteading journey for a long time. So to people who are completely new to the idea of growing any of your food, I recommend to start with your greens and your herbs that you're already using in your kitchen right now. Just be sure to grow things that your family will actually eat. So for some people, this might look like spicy microgreens, and for others, this might be more traditional lettuces and basil. These are things that are very easy to grow just in a sunny window or under a light indoors. Lettuces can be grown from seed, so can microgreens. And then for things like herbs, I recommend that you start with starts, which you can purchase from a local nursery, or sometimes even the local grocery stores will have these starts available. You could go pick up a few of these starts today, plant a few lettuce seeds, and have food growing in your home in no time. If you do have a patio or an area of your yard that you could till up to grow some food, then increasing the amount of your own food that you grow yourself will continue to decrease your grocery budget. All right, that's all I have for you today, but I would love it if you helped me out by putting your ideas for saving money on groceries in the comments below. I would love for this to be a resource for others beyond the ideas that I have. Also, don't forget to hit subscribe so that you don't miss my upcoming videos on how we're growing and raising our own food, and also how we're stocking our home to be better prepared for whatever may come.